Greetings, Earthlings! Today I'm back with a review of another one of those vintage microphone clone knockoff things, air quote, air quote, air quote. The microphone we're looking at is the TechZone Audio product Stellar X2 Vintage, which uses a K47 style capsule, so it's going for a U47 style sound. If you are interested in this microphone, it will set you back around $250. Like always, I'll throw some links down below. And for this review, I have the microphone connected directly to the Focusrite 18i 22nd gen. My input gain is set just at around 1 o'clock, and I will not do any kind of post-processing, but I may boost it in post, so check the doobly-doo to see what I did. And now let's talk about what comes in the box. First off, everything comes in this hard shell flight case. You'll of course get the microphone, a shock mount which does have a 5/8 to 3/8 inch microphone stand adapter, a foam windscreen, a leather pouch, and some documentation. Then as far as the build quality, the microphone feels pretty well put together. It has an all-metal body as well as a metal mesh grille which has a tiny bit of give to it. It also has some pretty substantial weight to it, or at least a lot more than you would expect in this form factor. As you move around the microphone, there are no switches or dials, and on the bottom you'll find the XLR port. And if you're interested, here is what the PCB looks like, in case that's something you want to know about and maybe compare it to an actual U47 PCB. I don't know. Then as far as the specs, the microphone has a single cardioid polar pattern, a frequency response of 20 Hz to 18 kHz, a sensitivity of around -31 dB, a self-noise of 10 dBA, a max SPL of 130 dB, an impedance of 120 ohms, and a phantom power requirement of plus 48 volts. Right now, I am spinning around the Stellar X2 Vintage to 90 degrees to show you the off-axis rejection and coloration. We will continue around the microphone to 180 degrees. Here's what it sounds like from the rear. Continuing around the microphone to 270, or the second 90-degree angle, and then we will rotate and end at the front of the microphone. Now let's go ahead and test the plosive rejection of this thing. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now I want to see how the provided foam windscreen affects the tone of the microphone. So right now I am 6 inches off of the X2 Vintage without the foam windscreen installed, and here is how the audio sounds. And now I have installed the provided foam windscreen, and here is how the audio compares to the audio from the microphone without the foam windscreen. Now I am right on top of the microphone to show you the proximity effect on this thing. 3 inches off of the microphone with it pointed at the corner of my mouth, and here is how it sounds. 1 foot away from the microphone, 2 feet away from the microphone, and about 4 feet away from the microphone. Now I am typing on a keyboard with Cherry MX Blues to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. And for you elite gamers, now I am typing on the sad W keys. Here's how the microphone sounds in a well-treated room. And here is what the microphone sounds like in a completely untreated room. Now I want to go ahead and do a very quick comparison between the Stellar X2 Vintage and a bunch of other microphones so you can see and hear how it compares to those. And first up, I have the Stellar X2 connected to the 18i 22nd gen with the gain set at around 1 o'clock. It is about 6 inches off of my microphone, and here is how the microphone sounds. Now I am on the super budget Neewer NW7000, 6 inches off of my mouth with my gain on the 18i 20 at the exact same level, and here is how the audio compares. To make the comparison easier, I am back on the Stellar X2 Vintage, 6 inches off of the microphone with a gain at 1 o'clock. Here's how it sounds. Next, I am on the Audio Technica AT2020, 6 inches off of my mouth with the gain set at 1 o'clock, and here is how the audio compares. Make sure to check the lower third to see how much I boost it, because I may have to boost each of these microphones a little bit differently. Again, we are back on the Stellar X2 Vintage, so you can hear how this sounds before we jump to the next microphone. Next, we are on the Rode NT1, 6 inches off of my mouth, gain at 1 o'clock on the 18i20, and here is how the microphone compares to the TechZone audio product Stellar X2 Vintage. Catchy name, guys. Back to that other microphone. I don't mind saying the same thing over and over again, so we are back on the Stellar X2 Vintage before we jump to whatever the next microphone is. Now I am on the TechZone audio product Stellar X2 non-vintage version. I am 6 inches off of the mic with my gain at 1 o'clock, and here is how the sound compares to that of the Stellar X2 vintage version. Goody, goody, goody. I am so happy to be back on the Stellar X2 Vintage so you can hear how this sounds before whatever's next comes right now. Next, I am on the Neumann TLM102, which is a $700 microphone. I'm 6 inches off of this mic with the gain set at 1 o'clock, and here is how the audio compares compared to the Stellar X2 Vintage. Make sure to check the lower third to see how much I boosted it. Surprise, surprise, we are back on the Stellar X2, 6 inches off of my mouth, connected to the 18i20 2nd gen, with the gain at around 1 o'clock if you had forgotten, and here is how it sounds. Next, I am on the $1,100 or $1,300 Neumann TLM103, 6 inches off of the mic, gain set at 1 o'clock, and here is how the audio compares from a very expensive industry standard microphone to the new Stellar X2 Vintage. I wonder what microphone I am speaking into. Could it possibly be the Stellar X2 so you can hear what it sounds like before we jump to the next mic? And because over here on the Podcastage channel, we're crazy boys, I am 6 inches off of the $3,200 Neumann U87 Ai, gain set at 1 o'clock. Check the lower third to see how much I boosted it, and here is how the audio compares to a $250 U47 clone. I've got another mic, I've gotta test sometime. Won't anybody send some help? 'Cause I am stuck in my personal hell. Or maybe not. I mean, I've got horror movies and pizza and popcorn and microphones. And you, right? Okay, is it a U47? I don't know. I don't have a U47 to compare it to, so I can't say with any amount of certainty, but my estimation would be probably not. But as a standalone microphone, I did rather enjoy it. And first up, in terms of pros, although this microphone is very mid-forward, at this price point, I found it to be surprisingly smooth. Is it the smoothest microphone of all time? No, but it's much smoother than you would expect it to be. I also found the sibilance on this microphone to be very under control. I have heard much worse performance in terms of plosive rejection, and it comes with a really nice flight storage case. And then in terms of cons, on certain sound sources, I did hear the lower frequencies of this microphone start to get a little bit out of hand. And to get nitpicky, the off-axis and rear coloration on this microphone were not the most pleasing, so if you're in a room with a lot of reflections where you want to capture those, you will need to take that into consideration. So what are my overall thoughts of this microphone? On the electric guitar, I did find it usable, but on that instrument, there was a lot of low-end information, and that led to it sounding muddy and boomy and just kind of gross. So I played around with it in Logic, and I found that a high pass around 90 to 100 Hz, as well as a cut around 200 Hz, really cleaned that up a lot, and then it gives you a very mid-forward and aggressive and biting tone for the guitar. Then on the acoustic guitar, it definitely is not my favorite sounding microphone for that instrument because I personally prefer to have a little bit more air to the sound, but all around it is still a pretty usable microphone for the acoustic. Next up for singing, that was actually my favorite application for this microphone because it does have a nice amount of detail to it without sounding top heavy, and it's also got a very mid-forward and smooth and punchy sound to it, which I personally really like on vocals. And lastly, for spoken word, again, this is a very mid-forward microphone, which does tend to accentuate a little bit more of those nasally tones in your voice. So if you're looking for a super modern V-shaped sound, this isn't going to offer that, but it does still have a good amount of detail and clarity to it, making it easy to understand what is being said into it, and in a well-treated studio, I would be perfectly happy using this on spoken word. So would I recommend the Stellar X2 Vintage? Yes. But first off, is it a U47? I don't know because I don't have one to compare it against, but my guess would be probably not, because this is a $250 microphone and the U47 is a $10,000 to $20,000 microphone. I highly doubt that they will be able to get an accurate representation of a U47 in people's hands for $250. But as a standalone microphone, without all of that marketing hype and those comparisons to the classics that cost $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, I think it offers a very nice and usable tone that I prefer quite a bit more than the non-vintage version of the Stellar X2. So if you're looking for a more mid-forward and punchy sounding microphone with some tame, rolled off higher air frequencies, I think at $250, this is a very nice option. Alright, that's gonna wrap up for today. So if you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, give me a big old thumbs down. If you want more videos, subscribe by clicking that logo down beneath me. And if you're still here, make sure to head over to podcastage.com/giveaways. There's a new giveaway up, or two actually, so go see what you can win. If you want to support the channel and become one of these amazing people over here, you can do so by clicking that join button and joining at the $5 tier or higher. It really does help me continue to bring you these videos, and I just love them so darn much. They're the best. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.